What's goody in the hoodie, Blackwell family? Welcome back to the Blackwell Box, where we heal through having real conversations with real people. I'm your host, Wellness Liss, and yet again, we back on a fine Wellness Wednesday, here to talk about some minority mental health issues. As also, before we even get into that, you already know the vibes. Make sure you following us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. That's where you can catch the video streams every Wednesday. You can catch the audio playback on Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. And my favorite, you can say, "Hey Alexa, play the Blackwell Box Podcast," and she's gonna say, "Okay, playing the Blackwell Box Podcast." And boom, flip, skip, I'm gonna be right there in your bedroom. All right, so you really have no excuse. And go ahead and follow me at wellness.list on Instagram. That's the only social media platform I'm on. So if you see another one, it's a catfish dog. I hate to break it to you. Hate to break it to you. But today I'm very excited because we have a special guest in the building. I know you think everybody's a special guest, but they are. They're very special. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. They would be somewhere else outside. All right. So today in the Blackwell Box, we're gonna be talking all things spirituality, intuition, manifestation, all of that good, great stuff that you hear me talk about, but I don't know too much. So I brought in my good sis who know way more than me. And without further ado, we about to bring in Asia Diosa. What's up?
Hi.
How you feeling today?
I'm wonderful. This is so nice. Like, this is my first time doing anything like this. I love it.
Oh, that's exciting. You look great. I'm trying to get my fitted hat game up. I just got my first one recently, and I was like, yo, I look grown and sexy in this hat. Like I need to do it, but they cost a lot more money than just like the baseball caps or like a do
Yeah.
rag. So it's like,
It's worth it though. And I haven't paid for any of the hats I have, so I'm blessed. But I'm gonna be having to invest in more
yeah,
soon.
I need to get like you. I'm about to hit the streets. I'm about to go on OnlyFans and
As
show
you
my
should.
scalp. Maybe somebody will fund a hat to be like, if this
As
girl
you
don't
should.
stop showing her scalp, I'm about a hat to put on top of it or something.
Nah, yeah, it's worth it.
Well, thank you for being on here and hopping in here. So we just gonna get right into it. We're gonna get right into it. So first and foremost, of course, in the Blackwell Box, all things minority mental health and wellness. So as we ask everybody, where did your wellness story begin?
Mm. Okay, my wellness story, I would say it began like in high school. And I was like in toxic relationships. It was real bad. And I started learning about like chakras in high school. And that's when I really started my journey. And
Mhm.
then my parents ate like all organic food anyway. So it was like the food part, I was learning a lot more about how to eat healthier. And then it was like chakras. And then I'm learning how to like elevate myself because it was a lot of things going on. Like when I was a teenager, I was very angry. Like the
Mhm.
person you see now is not who I was 10 years ago. Not me. So now I think since then I just kept piling on more and more information. And now here I am.
Okay. Okay, that's dope. So for the people who don't know, you have a very well known and a very big brand. You cover a lot of things. So how would you describe yourself to the people who are just getting new? They like, okay, it's a new face in the Blackwell Box. How would you describe, your brand, what you do, what you stand for, all of that kind of stuff?
That's such a good question.
Thank you.
I describe okay, so me myself and my brand, they're connected, but me
Hmm.
myself, I'm crazy. I call myself when I refer to myself, I say I'm duality manifested because I am even balance of like I can have a good time, I can be wild and crazy, but I'm also still very grounded and spiritual and I can give you advice on your life. I can do a
Hmm.
reading for you after I've had like 3 margaritas. And it's just because I'm very comfortable with myself and I know I can't be boxed in. That's the first
Mm.
thing. But my brand, Diosa Haven, is like a safe space for people who are really trying to learn more about how to fulfill their purpose and heal themselves. That's what I teach people how to do, how to
Hmm.
accept themselves and not like, I feel like spirituality, there's a lot of scammers, there's a lot of weird stuff, there's a lot of like, um, I don't want to say white people, but there's a lot of stigma around like how it's supposed to look like in Black people as opposed to white people.
Hmm.
we can do yoga and still smoke weed and do other stuff, like as opposed to what we've might have grown up seeing. We might have seen people, oh, you got to be like a skinny, dainty girl to go do yoga. Like I just want people to know you can be yourself and you can still embrace different types of spirituality and learn what fits for you. So that's what Haven is really about.
Okay, so y'all go ahead and follow on Instagram right there. We're gonna plug that right in there right now. If you watching, then it's not on the screen. I was about to lie. Caught myself in a lie so quick. But nonetheless, go ahead and follow her right there. So you kind of tapped into it. We gonna just keep the ball rolling. My next question actually was, do you think there is a stigma with Black people and spirituality? But since you already said yes, you can hit on the tidbit on the backup of why do you think that is?
I really think it's because, okay, so right now I feel like Black people as a collective, we're in the healing phase. I think especially after all the things that we've went through as a collective and the diaspora as a total, right? I think that we're in the healing phase. And before this phase, it was more of a, like we were very prideful, very like, oh, nothing's wrong with me. Everybody wants to act like they're fine. And like the therapy thing, oh, that's for white people, or that's for people that's crazy or whatever like that. And so now, today's age, we're opening up to it more because we're in the healing stage. But I think that we're still trying to figure out what the healing stage is. A lot of us lost our idea of spirituality because our spirituality was very boxed into like, you either Christian, you Muslim, or like, what are you? Or like, you have to be one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And now when you ask a lot of Black people now, oh, are you religious? A lot of people are going to say, no, I'm just spiritual. And it's because you're trying to figure out what works for you, and then you don't really have a lot of examples of what to go by, because all the examples are all people who relied on Christianity to prove that they were good people, and now we're seeing like you could be a good person and not be a Christian or not be a Muslim, and we're just trying to figure it out. Like that's really what I'm figuring out now about like Black people and spirituality. Like we just don't know what it's supposed to look like. So people look to people like me or other big brands that are more comfortable being open about their spirituality to kind of get an example of what they should do. Not a lot of examples. We just don't know what it's supposed to look like. And what I'm trying to prove is that it's supposed to look like what comes naturally to you and what feels good to you. That's my point, because I can do whatever I want to do. And I think a lot of people are like, well, how are you spiritual and you're twerking on Instagram? Like, because I am, like, I can't, I am that. That is a part of me, and I'm not going to suppress myself. But that's because I'm a little bit, I don't want to say I'm ahead, but I'm a little bit more comfortable with my spirituality and not having an example. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we kind of on the same wave with that, because I know me for a long time. I was like when I first got to DC, my roommate was a white guy, and he gave me my first crystal, and I was like, this dude is on some weird stuff. Now, to be fully transparent, he also gave me a crystal, a tiger's eye, and a Hooters calendar. So I was like, white people be on some weird shit, bro.
Yeah,
I just got to DC. I'm like, okay, all right, this is cross state. White people be weird. I got it. But once I started getting into it myself, I feel like that was a big piece of just like when you don't see yourself in it. And that's how this whole Blackwell box came to be as well. It's like when you don't see yourself in stuff, you kind of just count it out. And I think to your point, like with history and stuff, it's like we don't even know what to trust these days. It's like, I don't know if this is some white people stuff y'all trying to set us up, get us to fall for the okie doke, what's tea, what's not. So it's easier to kind of just play it safe and go with that go with that religion, And so,
and honestly, what I do in my spirituality, it takes a lot of pieces from that, because that is a part of us. That's a part of our culture. I still have a Bible. I got my great grandmother's Bible, and that it resonates deeply with me because of the imagery that was put into it. But I know that the Bible that they gave us is not the actual original Bible. So I'm able to kind of dissect what works for me and what doesn't, and that's what I want more and more people to start doing. To learn how to do.
And I feel like that's how I was, because I grew up in the church. I was a pastor's kid, and so I still, of course, have some type of connection towards the Bible and stuff, but I didn't really get a personal connection to it until I look for it for myself, and now I'm able to like use it as I need and not use it to like damn me to hell or tell me how to walk, talk, move. It's just, I always tell people like when I look at the Bible personally, I look at it as a storybook. So the same way that like the boy who cried wolf, that taught us to not be making stuff up. It didn't teach us to be a wolf. It didn't teach us to be a boy. It taught us, not to cry wolf, not to say stuff that isn't true. And so that's kind of how I look at a lot of the Bible stories. And I think that that's a great point because I think not enough people realize that you can still have those beliefs and have those faiths and still be into your energy and still deal with your mental health. Like prayer doesn't cancel out doing those other things.
Yeah.
You don't have to pick one or the other. You could, like you said, you could twerk and still be spiritual. You could have your Bible and still have your blunt. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And that's our
black and white.
history. Like,
Yeah.
if you look back, and I'm obviously like I have native ancestors, people that are indigenous to this land. I have ancestors that are obviously from Africa as well. This is our culture. This is our history. They were literally
Mhm.
taking herbs from the ground, drying them out, crushing them up, rolling them up, smoking. They were dancing to get energy out, like especially
Mhm.
feminine. You dance to get energy out of your hips, out of your waist, and it's like it is a spiritual experience. And it's like, why has that been villainized? Like you
Yeah.
need to do that. You need to get up and dance. You need to throw some ass.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm throwing ass everywhere I go. So you kind of, I'm starting to think that you done took a little peek at my questions because you diving right into the next one, which is what is the importance or what historically and currently the importance of spirituality in the Black culture?
It's like I don't think they exist without. I don't think one exists without the other. Um, I don't know if you've ever been at a party and they played a gospel song and everybody was in there jamming, they know all
Yeah.
the words.
Yeah.
This was St. Patrick's Day party and they was playing I think it was Melodies from Heaven, and it was
Yeah.
like everybody's jamming. And I really think that it's deeper than just Christianity. Obviously, it's more about we created a whole genre of music in Black culture that resonated with us, but also was especially like in the slavery times, they weren't able to really express their true beliefs. So they
Mhm.
mixed it in with things that they were being forced to believe. And I think that that's one of the things about our culture is that we can literally take anything, spin it, and make it ours. And so I
Yeah.
think spirituality is going to be a very similar thing, because now it's not just like you don't just see white people, like I said, doing yoga. You don't just see white people learning about Akashic records. You see more and more Black people of the diaspora embracing these parts of our culture because it really is a part of us. Like
Mhm.
one exists without the other. I think that we are very, very spiritual beings. That's why a lot of times we haven't I don't want to say revolted, or really we haven't blown up this whole fucking planet because of how spiritual we are as people.
Mhm.
I think if we just kind of got deeper into our spirituality, we would learn a lot more about how to turn things into our favor. But I really think that I think the importance of spirituality in the Black culture is really going to be us redefining what spirituality is. And I don't know if
Mm.
I'm answering your question right, but that's just
I mean, however the spirit moves you, that's the answer.
no, for real. That's really where my mind is going about how like
Mhm.
they don't exist without each other. And honestly, I don't think spirituality across the world really exists without some sort of African essence. So
Mhm.
it's almost like they don't exist without each other. Like we are very deeply spiritual beings. We can't help it.
Yeah.
We can't help it.
I definitely agree with that. And for the people who don't know, because this is actually a term that I never even heard until I walked on Howard's campus. When you say the diaspora, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's just Blackness that started in Africa, and then it moved throughout the transatlantic slave trade, and also traveled throughout other parts of the world. Like I know some Black people did voluntarily move to different parts of the world, and so how those Black people came to those different parts, however they got there, they all impacted those areas very deeply. And so I think that those communities, they all have a resemblance to where it all originated in Africa. Like it's
Mhm.
amazing to see how Afro Brazilians or like African people in Spain or in France and in Americas, we all have a lot of things that are very, very similar. Dances, rhythms, music, food cultures. Like in one culture, they might call it a puff puff. Another culture, like in the Caribbean, they may call it festivals. We might call it something totally different. What do we call them? Hush puppies. But we all do the same. We do the same things, but we were not in the same place. So that's really what the diaspora is about. Like keeping that original culture, no matter where in the world we end up.
Okay, thank you. Because that was definitely, I would say, for me, I think my wellness journey began like when I was in undergrad for sure, but it like went to level 2 and above when I moved to the DMV, because being around Howard's campus and being around all like that many Black people, and then just being around people who got crystals and, you know, niggas wearing whatever, they doing whatever, they believe in whatever, they saying it with their chest. I'm like, wow, I never even, you know, coming from Cleveland, it's like you got the Black people, you got the white people, and it was very much so like what you would imagine a suburban Black city, like the area that I grew up in, was kind of like. So I really didn't even see a lot of white people. I didn't see a lot of, like, for lack of better terms, woke Black people. You know, it was just like I grew up on, we Black, white people enslaved us, so we don't mess with them. That's as far as the buck went. And then, you know, and you go to church on Sunday and you pray about it. You know, that was really as far as it went from in my experience. And so to go to DC, and I'm like, okay, crystals, okay, meditation, okay, diaspora, okay, like, okay, I'm learning all of these new things. I started to open up my mind. So I appreciate you, you know, sharing that. And I'm sure you got a lot more knowledge. And we got some more questions to pick your brain into. So the next one is, what is something that you think the average person might not know about spirituality, that you feel like more people should know?
Woo. I have so many answers to this question. Okay, I'm going to give you a 2-part answer.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, so the first answer is that, and I posted this on my story recently, there is a divine counterpart for everything, right? And I think that the essence of spirituality and being at your optimal spiritual self is going to be you balancing your masculine and your feminine energy into one. That's called Kundalini. I don't know if you've ever seen the red
That's
cross.
in the back of your back, right? When you do yoga or something?
Basically,
in your hip or something. I read that before.
It starts at the bottom of your spine. So it's like,
yeah,
go from your pelvis all the way up. Your Kundalini energy, one is masculine, one is feminine. It goes from the root all the way up, and they intertwine as they go up, right? And that is you achieving optimal balance. That's you getting into your God-like self. That's really what I see the Most High want us to achieve as we're here, right? Is to figure out how to balance that. And I think a lot of us are very, very not balanced in their masculine and their feminine. And that's what the goal is. That's all you have to do. If you can find a way to balance those two and do it in a way that's harmonious throughout your life, know when to do a little bit more masculine, know when to do a little bit more feminine, you'll have such a easier time in this lifetime. What was the other part of the question? What other part I was going to say? Oh, I was going to say that I really feel like us in the physical realm is really just a training ground for the spiritual realm. And so what you're doing here is you're being put through a series of tests at all times. Every decision that you make, it's almost like there's 2 options, and every single time you make a choice, you're either making your training experience better or worse. And I think a lot of people think that, like, okay, well, we're just living and that is what it is. No, we're being trained so that when we move on to the next level, which is the 4D, which is the spiritual realm, then we can ascend even more. Because I know that it's just going to be even more tests when we get up there too. So that's what I think people should know about spirituality.
Okay, so y'all got to balance that energy out. Yeah, got to balance that energy out. I feel like I've read that because when I first started doing, well, before I was doing, but when I was reading about energies and yoga and all of those things, that was a word that came up, and I was like, okay. And when I read it, it was like, it's like a knotted up ball and right above your booty, and the goal is to stretch through yoga to open it up and bring it up through your other chakras. And I was like, okay. So when you said that, I was like, oh, okay, I know something. And you giving me the extended version. See, look, that's why you're here. That's
Yeah.
exactly why you're here. And so
Yeah.
for the people who don't know, you also do intuitive oracle readings, right?
I do.
So what is that? What is that?
Okay, so how do I describe this? So oracle readings is a form of divination. Obviously, divination is a form of connecting with the divine and connecting with your spiritual self, which is your higher self. And divination, you can do it with yourself or you can do it for other people. So a lot of people, they study and they practice and they heal themselves so that they can do divination for other people. And that's what I've done. And I think that everybody has their different styles of divination. So some people use tarot cards. I don't use tarot. I love tarot for other people, but tarot is not my divination style. It's not my method. Oracle cards. Oracle, I'm about to say I have several of them. Oracle cards, they're just different messages and visuals. The only point of them is really so that I can help guide the message for other people to consume and also for myself to be able to channel in a way that helps people understand what I'm trying to say. I can do a reading for you with no cards, right? I could do a reading for you. I could divine for you. Huh?
I said, oh, you icy with it.
It took a long time for me to get here, but literally I've learned that the cards are literally for a visual understanding and it's like a way to get energy out, because my energy goes into the cards so I can see which cards to use, and I can pull a card for you and pull a card for the same card for another person and it'd be a completely different message, right? If you're a good reader. Not everybody's a reader. Some people will just read from the description and that's it, right? But I think that me being an intuitive oracle card reader, I don't just use oracle cards. Like I can use I've used dice before. I use playing cards. I use oracle cards. It's really just a form of divination so I can help people get past obstacles. And the way I do it is I'm not just here to tell you about your love life, about your ex, or about stupid shit. I hate readings like that. I hate it so much. Me, I'm always gonna crack the surface and I'm gonna like really tap into some shit that you might not expect me to know about you or might not expect me to tap into, but it's really just me being a vessel for the Most High. Like I put myself in a position where I'm like, I'm gonna allow your spirit guides, your spirit team, my spirit guides, my spirit team to really channel through me to help you.
Okay, so it's like a tool.
Yeah, it's really just a tool. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, if someone is getting into spirituality, they like, okay, I hear you. I like that. I'm with that. What are 3 items that you would tell them? Okay, I got to put you onto these 3 items for you to start your spiritual toolbox to get the ball rolling.
Okay, the first thing, this is tricky because it's like it's gonna be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Like for example, like I was telling you how like tarot isn't my thing, but some people they might be gifted a deck of tarot cards, and that's what starts their spiritual journey. I would say 3 essentials, 3 things that helped me personally. I would say a journal. You need a journal. You need a journal. You need a journal. Because anything that you write several times or you get out from your mind and your energy and your space onto paper, that's the beginning of your spiritual journey. You can use it to sketch out ideas, sketch out thoughts. But if you say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I've seen it myself. Like I can manifest things just from writing them several times. You need a journal. You also need somewhere where you can dump out thoughts, where you can it's not just for manifestation, basically. I think that starting with clearing your mind and getting out of the space where you think that your spirit and your mind are not always friends, right? So things that I might think go against what my spirit believes. So I can sometimes get things out on paper and see how silly they sound or whatever. So that's the first thing I would say is a journal. The second thing I would say, you need some sort of crystal. This is a selenite. This is
that's my favorite.
This is a really good starter one. It's just literally you being able to cleanse in any energy in any space. You could use this one to start off. Rose quartz is really good. Amethyst is really good. some
Mm-hmm.
sort of crystal that speaks to you and that calms you. Something that you can hold close to your body, put under your pillow. That's the beginning of you really learning how to, because there's energy in these crystals, right? They come from the earth. They come from whatever. I don't know where they all come from, because some of them come from out of our solar system. If you read
Mm-hmm.
about them, but they harness a lot of energy in them, and so I think this is a really good tool, having some sort of crystal. So a journal, a crystal, and what's the third one?
Mm.
If you are and I don't want to say that just feminine, but if you are, I think some sort of like jewelry that means something to you, something that you wear every
Mm.
single day. So I wear waist beads. I have anklets that I make. I made all of my bracelets other than the gold bangles.
Ooh.
Check me
Come
out.
shop. Come shop. Come shop.
No, but I really think that so having something on your body physically all the time can help channel that energy as well. So like if I'm feeling nervous, I might rub my beads, or I might rub my crystals that are on my waist beads. I really do think that, looking back at my journey, that really changed the game for me. Like having waist
Mm-hmm.
beads on every single day, and it also just helps me remember the intention that I put into my waist beads when I make them. I learned that from Queen Afua in Sacred Woman. It's a book that I read that also helped start my spiritual journey as well,
Mm-hmm.
or elevated my spiritual journey, I would say. And she mentioned how like different numbers of how many beads you put on there have different meanings. And when I think about it, when I wear them, I'm like, okay, I remember why I did that. I remember why I did
Mm-hmm.
that. I remember why I did that. And it's like a constant reminder. So I would say those are three things. Like even if you just want to wear a bracelet, I would say make your own. And if you don't make your own, if you buy it, make sure you bless it yourself. Like put your hands on it, put your intentions on it, and then go from there.
Okay. All right. So we got to get the journal. We got to get a crystal, and we got to get some type of meaningful jewelry that we can carry or wear on ourselves every day.
Yeah.
I
Even if
guess.
you have locks and you want to put different charms or things like that, that counts too. It's an adornment. That also goes
Mm-hmm.
back to our culture and our history and things that we have historically been doing since the beginning of time.
Mm. Okay. So historically, people have been like adorning themselves with different like crystals and things
Yeah.
like that to like have metaphysical like effects.
Absolutely. Like
Mm.
even in wars, people would put garnet inside of their shields or inside of their, what is this shit called? Iron, what is it? Armor.
Yeah.
In ancient Kemet in Egypt, they were wearing waist beads. You know, they were wearing anklets, and just throughout, like if you look even in native culture, like it all is very, very similar. They have really deep meanings, and it's on your body. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would
Okay,
recommend.
so people of color been doing this. This is
Yeah,
not a new age whitewashed thing. I mean, everything gets whitewashed when it come over here,
that's our
but
that's our
the,
shit.
the whole concept behind it.
They wasn't drip like us, okay? We stay fly. That's all
Okay,
thing.
okay, I can see that, and I agree with those three things. I think the number one thing that set it off for me, like my wellness journey, was definitely journaling. Journaling exposed me to me in a crazy way. Like I've gotten away from it, but it definitely was a great like starter pack when I was down bad.
Yeah.
Journaling had my back, and then when I started my more spiritual journey, like wearing crystals every day, like it definitely was helpful because I know a lot of people are like they don't necessarily believe in the metaphysical properties or the energy behind it. But I always tell people like even if you're wearing it, let's say you don't think that there's any energy in the crystal, you don't think there's any energy in it. At the very least, is something like you said that you can have on your person that you can look at and remember your intentions. At the very least, it's a symbol of, I'm wearing this. They say that this gives you positive energy. So even if this crystal itself doesn't exude positive energy, it's a reminder when I look down at it that that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. So I
Okay.
always try to explain it to people like in that way because it's like I think it's hard for some people to accept or believe like ain't no energy and this is a rock. And I'm like, okay, fine. Let's say it's not. Let's say there's nothing in it. Nothing has value unless we put value in it, just like money. Money only is a positive thing because we say this dollar will get me something. It's a reminder of what work we put in and all of that. So I tell people, even, if you like the color blue, okay, get you a blue crystal, because that's gonna, at least you can look at it and be like, okay, this is my color. I'm rocking my color. I'm fresh. I got the little
Right.
lapis lazuli popping out. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't, take it to that extent. And I think that that is a good point with just allowing people to start to open their minds more and be more accepting to these things. It's kind of like you said, whatever resonates with you. It may not be this crystal, it may not be an oracle deck, but whatever resonates with you, and going in from that angle, and then you'll find your footing in spirituality as to what lane you like. Like for me, I was like, okay, these crystals popping. I tried to get into the oracle decks, and I was like, it's not resonating with my spirit. It's not hitting with my spirit. I tried to do the incense, it wasn't really resonating with my spirit too much. I was like, okay, I like the sage and the Palo Santo, so I'm gonna just rock with what rocks with me. You know what I'm saying? Do a little, I, yeah, that's definitely a fan favorite. When I went to Mexico, I got like a huge one. It was so lit. But even with like candle work, I seen a lot of stuff with it, so I was like, all right, let's see what's up. And I don't think and I think with all of these things, it's your intention and the energy you put behind it. Because if you don't buy into it, I promise you, it's gonna be just a candle. It's
If
gonna
I'm
be just a rock. It's gonna
yeah,
be just some pictures on a deck of cards. Like, it's not gonna hit until
yeah,
That's why you gotta find what piece, like you said, what resonates with you. As far as into the spiritual practices and stuff. So
yeah. And you can also look a little bit into. I like that you kept trying things though. That's
mm-hmm.
matters. Like people are, oh, these crystals don't work. Oh, I'm just not even gonna do it. Like you give up just because you didn't find what works for you. Like
Yeah.
there's some crystals I can hold in my hand and I can feel the weight of it, even if it's this big.
Mm-hmm.
Crystals, I'm like, like
Not for
whatever.
me.
Like it's just like you have to find what works for you, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I thought that that was like just straight bullshit until I went to the same crystal place I always used to go to, Holistic Elevations in DC. And I was like just looking through the table. And before I was getting crystals based off, I was on YouTube, I was doing all the research. I was like, this is the life I want. This is how I manifested these the crystals I need. Bop, bop, bop. My chakra's gonna be in check. And then I went there and it was like this big blue crystal. And I was like, I still don't even know, it's like an aquamarine color. I didn't even ask him the name of it. I was like, that one is coming home with me. Like, that one is
You felt
vibing me out, bro. I was like, okay. And I was trying not to let him know it was vibing me out, because I didn't want him to be like, oh yeah, it's in her spirit, I'm a waxer or something like that. So I was kind of just like, browsing around. But as soon as I seen it and then picked it up, I was like, I had never felt like the energy from a crystal before. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I thought that these was hitting, like, all right. And I will only have gotten to that, like I said, like you said, from trying new stuff. Because that first Tiger's Eye, still to this day, I really want to get on the Tiger's Eye wave. Everyone loves it. I got earrings, I got a necklace. That one is not really, it don't give me that eye of the tiger vibe. I'll take me a nice citrine, and that does the job for me. But I definitely like that point of, just continuing and not just giving up on the first thing, because I think with a lot of other stuff, and I was just talking to somebody about this in the context of like mental health. When it comes to money, when it comes to a job, when it comes to somebody we dating, we gonna get at 50 million 11 tries. We gonna go back to that man, that woman, a whole bunch. We gonna stay in that job that we don't like. We gonna chase that bag, and we need to have that same energy with our emotional and our spiritual currency. We need to have that same zeal to continue. Say, I want it bad enough that I'm gonna just keep trying it in different angles. So I definitely think that's a point. So with all of this, with spirituality, and I think a big piece that's necessary, and that a term we hear all the time, is staying grounded. So for you, what is your favorite spiritual practices to kind of keep you grounded and centered in yourself?
That's really good. I do a lot of things. I do a lot of things because I am a Gemini and I like versatility. I can't do the same thing every single day. So I might do a good. Okay, so one thing, I don't want to get too deep, but
It's too deep. Let's do it.
there's something called the Akashic Records, which is basically like a universal vault. Imagine like a universal vault of everything you've ever done, and then a possibility of everything you could do, and every contract you've ever signed, every contract you've ever spoken over your life. this is this life, past lives, future lives, like all at once, right?
Oh,
The
that's a
Akashic
big
record.
box.
Hmm?
I said that's a big box.
It gets real deep. But I can't do my own readings on myself because my ego gets in the way sometimes. So I have to go into the Akashic records, and it's basically like a really, really deep meditation. And it really takes you up a couple notches. Like you got to drink water, you got to eat beforehand. Like it's really, really deep. That's one of my favorite things to keep me grounded, because it, even in the prayer, when you're getting into the meditation, you ask for your ego to be put to the side for you to receive these messages. And I have to like record myself, like do voice memos when I do them. And it's a really good way to keep me grounded. And there's ways you can go. You can go online and learn about it. You can DM me. There's also a practitioner. Her name is Tatiana Tarot on Instagram. She hosts. She's actually hosting an Akashic Records workshop right now, and that's a plug. She ain't even pay me for. But anyway,
you booking or you looking?
Huh?
I said you booking or you looking?
Right, but
everybody.
She taught me how to do it, and that's really why I always talk about her. But she's hosting like workshops because it really is something that'll get you past your own blockages. So that's one of the things I'll do. I'll go into the Akashic records, and even when I post readings online, sometimes I'll go into my personal records before I do the reading so that I can be grounded and I can like perform better. Another thing, drinking tea in the morning, peppermint tea. That to me is just like, that first sip is like nothing else matters in the world. That's the first thing. If I'm ever nervous, I can put on like some rain sounds, some rain music. That gets me grounded. It's it's small things for me. I'm not about to go outside with no shoes on and be all up in the grass. Like, I think people, that's what I'm saying. Like, people really think about spirituality. They're like, oh, she must be out here with sage outside.
Yeah,
like,
it's not that dramatic. It don't have to be.
Small practical things. One thing the first thing I say when I rise is thank God, praise God. Like, I'm here. You gave me another shot, another day. Let's get it. You know, I want to see the sunrise. One of the things I used to do and I stopped doing because I'm trash, is I would get up before the sunrise and I would go out and watch it rise and visualize things that I want to manifest. And I think that's how I ended up in Atlanta, actually, because that was one of the things I kept seeing over and over. And I didn't know how I was going to end up here. And then I'm here. But there's a lot more things that haven't manifested yet. But that's one thing, like getting up with the sunrise and literally connecting yourself with a divine routine. Like, this is very beautiful. Like, you yourself need to rise with the sun, right? So that's one thing I might do, is rise with the sun, or just go outside and get some fresh air. What else do I do? I don't really know. I can't think of anything else. I feel like everything I do is it's almost like to the point where it's subconscious now. Like, I know if I'm nervous, I need to just go down. And even if it's just 3 consecutive deep breaths really resets your mind and gets you like in a very calm state. So stuff like that, breath work, Kundalini breath work is a real thing as well. And it sounds crazy, but if you're sitting outside my door, you're gonna be like, what the fuck is going on in there? Like, it sounds crazy, but it really is something that also can help. Like, but yeah, that's really what it is. I feel like prayer is really big for me as well. I literally stand there and just pray, surrender myself. And I don't do like a prayer out of the Bible all the time, but like, I literally just talk about all the things I'm grateful for, you know, for being given the opportunity to touch the collective, for being given the opportunity to heal myself, for the mercy of God, because I know I'm a mess sometimes. So those are things that help me stay grounded.
Okay. Those are some really good ones. I think, first of all, shout out to you, because I tried it many and many times. The morning in me, it's just not happening. I'm good. If I wake up before 8 o'clock, that is a tremendous victory, because waking up is just like, if Morgan wasn't, because Morgan will wake up early in the morning. So if she wasn't a morning person, I would sleep all day. And I never used to really be like that. Like, you know, growing up, I'd be, you know, going. But as I'm getting older, that morning gonna have to see me another day. But when I do, the few and far times between when I do wake up early, it really is such a vibe to wake up and see the sunrise and drink some tea, get a good little stretch in, be able to breathe. Yeah, it do
better.
make my shoulders a little looser.
Mhm.
But now, God is still working on me. I wake up at 9 o'clock and I'm supposed to be at work at 9 o'clock and my shoulders is hunched and I'm pissed off. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta reset myself. And one of the things that helps me is, to your point, a sound machine. I think everybody needs to invest in, get you a rain stick, get you a Alexa that could play it, get you a Pandora app, get you a sound machine. You go on YouTube, but
YouTube's
looking up like rain sound and figuring out what sounds, affect your mood, because I think we don't give enough credit to how strong our senses are and how our senses are connected so much to our mental and our spiritual well-being. And it's like, we already know, like, if you taste something, okay, we know the one with taste. So we know, like, okay, if you taste some chicken and it's good, you get a little dance, you be like, and if it's something nasty, you can be like, I'm not drinking that. And I think we need to realize more that the same goes for our sound, our smell, like all of those things with aromatherapy and listening to the music you listen to. I just got into, I think it's pronounced lofi or lo-fi hip hop, something, but it's like, it's like a vibe. I'll be playing that all in my office. The kids come in there like, listen, what is this? What you got going on? This old people hip hop? I'm like,
no, just vibe.
I be having my diffuser around. I be having my frankincense, and I be having that in the back. And then they be like, sometimes I double up and put the rain sounds with it, and I'll be in there jamming. I keep the lights real dim. They come in there like, what's going on here? I'm like, see, this is why you need to be in here. You need to get your spirit together. Come sit down. So definitely
create a safe space, though, like using all of the senses, even the temperature of the room, the smell of the room, like you said, the sounds, all of it matters. Like sometimes I really can't sleep without rain music. I really be like, turn that up. I don't think you realize, but I can hear electricity. I don't know if y'all can hear it. Is it me?
I don't think I'm that woke to hear electricity, not yet.
No, but it just has a loud, it's like a frequency of like electricity. Like you can hear that, like you can hear like it's like a white noise almost. I don't know if anybody else hears it.
I need to meditate some more.
I really think people make me feel like I'm crazy, but like
I literally crazy.
Think, like this is not it. Like it doesn't sound like silence unless I'm like outside in the woods or some shit. That to me is like silence, and you can hear nature. But in the house, I can hear like the buzzing of electricity. So I have to play some sort of rain music, or I just found like this video that has like a long, like a deep hum noise. Beautiful to me. And I'll be passed out like that, gone.
See, I think that comes from being more aware and more mindful, because the more I started being mindful and doing actual meditation and mindfulness practices, I started noticing, hearing, smelling, feeling stuff that I never I never thought of, and now it's like I could feel my seat under my butt or something like that, things that you just kind of rolled off and was like, I'm focused on whatever the task is, the job is, so I think the more mindful a person is, then they start, you can't just turn that off, I think that's the beauty of it, is that it's so transferable, and it's so, it becomes a part of you the more you practice being mindful and doing those, spiritual practices. So to kind of pivot into like mental health and the intersection of mental health and spirituality, how does spirituality and intuition, do you think, assist in someone's mental or emotional health? How do those things interplay?
I think it's huge. I think it's helped me a ton. And it's, you know what? I think being able to surrender to your spirituality can kind of help your mental relax a little bit, if that makes sense. I used to have really bad like anxiety. I was depressed for a while as well. I wasn't like clinically depressed, but just the not wanting to leave your room, very dumb, like doom and gloom. I've gone through that before, but that was because I thought that I was in control of everything. And once I learned more about my spirit and I learned more about how to surrender things to my spirit, everything just started working out in my favor. And it was really because I knew like I had to put my ego to the side, basically, because my ego said everything's my fault. I need to do this. I need to go harder. I need to do that. But then when I learned about spirituality, it was like, no, you need to align yourself. No, you need to listen to your intuition, because your intuition told you were supposed to do this, but your ego and your mind told you to do another thing. And I feel like once you can master your spirituality, I think the mental and emotional health will really it'll just improve as a result of mastering spirituality and intuition, for sure. And it also, like, my intuition helps me communicate better, because it's like, I don't allow people to gaslight me, because that's like, I know for a fact, I know what's truth, whether you tell me it's truth or not, whether you're ready to tell me this truth is the truth or not, now or later, I know what it is. And so now I can kind of detach a little bit more mentally, as opposed to before I would be going fucking crazy because somebody would tell me one thing, and then part of me is like, well, is that real? Is that true? Is that like, and once I could get the spirituality and intuition down packed, nobody can play with me. There's not a soul on this planet that can play with me. And even if you are thinking that you're playing with me, I'm gonna just look at you like, you know what? I see where you are on your journey. Like, I'm gonna separate myself from you. Yeah. So that's where I think that they intersect. Like, you improve your spirit and your intuition, your mental and your emotional is gonna come, and it's gonna grow, and it's gonna ascend. It's gonna be so much better. You're gonna communicate better. And you're not going to be able to escape your emotions, but you're going to be able to navigate through your emotions a lot better once you can master the other two.
I definitely agree. I think that the piece about being able to balance your ego and understanding what you can and can't control is such like a cheat code. Like, once you get that, you kind of you shoot up in the emotional and the mental and the spiritual like health, because you start to only give energy to those things that you know is in your direct line of control. You like, you know what? Whether I do this or not, I'm not going to be the deciding factor whether this grasshopper live or die. So let me not even be sitting here crying over that or trying to, force this thing to happen. And like you said, I think that the ego is a big piece in feeling like, oh, it's my fault, or I have to do this, or I'm supposed to do this, or like, if I don't do it, who will? Like, all of those kind of questions that lead to that anxiety, that lead to that depression, that lead to all of these mental things that we have, because we're thinking of things through the eye of an ego and not through the thing of, I always tell people, like, in any situation, stop and think, what can I control? What can't I control? You still might make a bad decision. You still might be emotionally charged. You still might Will Smith smack a nigga. That may happen. But just getting in the practice of assessing, like, what can I control? What can't I control? On the flip side, everything else will kind of make sense, because it'll be like, you know what? I stayed up all night doing that, and it still didn't go in my way, because that was out of my control. And I knew that going in. I knew I was rolling the dice, so being able to really judge, like, what is my job? What is in my control? And what is my ego, telling me? Is it true or not? So I definitely think that that's a good piece.
I think ego, it serves its purpose. Ego is good for you having self-confidence. Ego is good for you taking action. There's a point, there's a reason why we have an ego. But once we start to think that the ego is the seat of our power and why we should do things, that's when you get lost. And the only way I learn these things is by falling on my face several times. I've had several mental health issues. I've had several emotional health issues. I've had several traumas. And then me mastering and learning more about my spirituality and my spiritual health got me through all of that shit. And it's still getting me through it. Like, I'm still growing. I'm still young. I'm still experiencing things that make me feel away, or I'm still figuring out my attachment style. But I know if I'm spiritually a good person, if I know I'm helping people, I know I'm in service, and I know I follow my intuition when I know I'm supposed to do something, I listen to it. I know whatever I'm going through, I'm going to get through it. And that's how I kind of like try to explain it to other people. Like, you're not always going to get it right, but everything serves its purpose.
Okay, so I keep hearing this, you do the intuitive oracle readings, follow the intuition. So this is a question that I think a lot of people have, because I have personally my very own self, is how do I learn how to trust my intuition? Like, what does that mean? What is that about? How do I even do that? Of course, not giving all your secret sauce. You know, I know this was loaded. This was loaded, but
No, it's not secret shit. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I think first and foremost, you have to decipher what your intuitive style is. Okay,
mm,
so a lot of people, so there's something called clairsentience, for example, where you might get a feeling like you might get goosebumps, or you might start sweating, or you might feel really hot, or you might feel really cold, and it's a signal for something that's going on around you, and that's an intuitive style.
mm-hmm,
Right? Some people can get that feeling and they'll know, oh, something's wrong with you. Or like if you feel a different pain in your body, you don't know where it's coming from. And then you might talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm having an issue with this. You're like, oh yeah, I was just having that issue. It was your intuitive style kind of guiding you to this person, right? Or for example, there's something called clairaudience, which is what I have too. I have multiple. Some people can have multiple, right?
okay,
I have clairaudience where I can hear messages. Right? It
mm,
might sound crazy, like like it's the Lord of the Rings, like who the fuck is talking to you? But I can hear messages where I'll be doing something and I can hear a message that I need to give to somebody, or I might hear somebody's name come to my head, or I'll just be doing when I'm doing my readings. I might zone out and I'm literally, it's not like somebody's whispering in my ear, but it almost is like a message or a thought, an idea coming to me. And it's just like,
mm,
and it also comes to me through music or through sounds. That's clairaudience, or
mm,
clairvoyance, or people who see visions, or people who have prophetic dreams. So you need to figure out what your intuitive style is. Like, what is it that when things happen, or like for example, like when you have a specific type of dream, start to tap into that and figure out what was really deeper about that dream, especially
mm-hmm,
if you've been known to have dreams that come true, or maybe you have a dream about somebody and they talk to you the next day. You might be clairvoyant, and it might
mm,
just be that your spirit has not gotten to the point yet where you've embraced your clairvoyance in your waking life, so it has to show up in your dreams, because that's the only time you surrender to your subconscious, right?
mm,
That's, you have to figure out what your intuitive style is, and you can
okay,
do research on the different types of clears, right? And then once you do that, start testing yourself.
mm,
It sounds crazy, but like literally get in the car and don't turn the GPS on, and ask your intuitive self, your higher self, the most high, whoever you want to pray to or however you want to do it. Say, how do I get home? Or how do I get to this destination? Or take me somewhere that's going to impact me, like, and just
mm,
follow where your spirit takes you. Or think about somebody, for example, like if you want to think about somebody and you want to kind of manifest a conversation with them, think about them, ask for communication with them, and then just wait and see what happens.
mm-hmm,
Right? Like whatever name comes to your mind, just start testing yourself out. So the first thing is identify your intuitive style, test it out. And I also would say, like, there's other ways to tap into your spirituality. Like, for example, unblocking your third eye is really the seat of your intuition. So
mm-hmm,
the only way you can really get here is if you start at the root.
mm-hmm,
So you have to start working through your chakras, start working through your own blockages and other parts of your chakras of yourself, to really start being able to tap in here. Because
mm-hmm,
before you get here, you need to start down there.
yeah, yeah,
Like, what makes me feel insecure? And then after that, that's the root chakra, right? And then you move into the sacral chakra, like, what sexual interactions are kind of blocking me spiritually, like, or
mm-hmm,
what sexual habits do I have, or what creative blockages do I have? So you just work through each chakra and then you get there. And then once you can get there, it's easy to get here through the
mm-hmm.
crown chakra, because you're connecting to the divine in that way. So that's what I would suggest. That's the route I would suggest.
Okay, okay, I like that. I feel like clairvoyance is one that like we've heard, and it probably has a witchy type of stigma to it. But knowing that there are different, intuition styles, I think that's a good starting place. And I always like when I'm on Instagram, and it's just like they just randomly started popping up once I started getting more into spirituality on my Instagram, of like people doing intuition tests, like which crystal am I about to pull? And before I used to be like, get out of here, like this is random. You're just trying to get a like. But now I really be trying to sit and be like, trying to listen to yourself. So I think that's a good piece, before you can. A big piece of intuition is knowing that that's like the higher power of your inner voice. So you got to be able to listen to yourself and know to a certain degree, know yourself to even be able to start leaning into that intuitive piece.
Yeah, I mean, have fun with it. Literally, if you think about somebody's name, hit them up. I literally do it all the time. People be like, "How the fuck did you know? I was just thinking about you." Like, I'm just tapped in. Okay. But honestly, I think you should just have fun with it. Like, just try to test yourself, and you'll start to see,
I'm gonna do that because I'll be having the vividest dreams. Like, I'll be waking up like, babe, did you dream last night? And she be like, no, I don't know. And I'll be like, yo, like I could still roll call dreams I had when I was like a kid. Like, so I'm gonna start. I keep saying I'm gonna like write down, get back in like journaling my dreams and seeing like fact checking like what was that about, because that's definitely one that I feel like I've always been wondering. Like, people say like follow your intuition, follow your gut, listen to your heart. And I'm like, it's beating. Like, I don't know. It's just saying boo 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 boo. Like, it ain't telling me to do nothing. I don't like, even being
another good thing too for dreams, when you first wake up, I have like a thing on my phone, like on the command center, you have a voice memo button. Literally wake up, even if you have sleep, hit the voice memo button and just start just record everything that you can remember. Because even when you're half asleep, you're gonna remember stuff where you're gonna say things in a way that, after you've been thinking about other shit, you're not gonna remember, especially if you gotta get up, turn a light on, grab a book, write it down. That's too much.
Okay.
So I just voice record it, and then go back and listen to that shit. You're gonna be like, what? That happened? I forgot that happened. I have some crazy shit in mind. So
I'm definitely try that. And you have definitely given us a whole bunch of gems. So before you go, we got a couple more questions. We always like to lead a Blackwell box with something like really tangible take home that people could be like, all right, bet I got my boop, 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 and I'm ready to do and act on it. So what are 3 things that we could start doing today to either improve our quality of life, our intuition, to manifest the things we want, wherever the spirit is leading you with that? What are 3 things that that you would suggest the Blackwell family to start doing today to live a better, more fulfilled life?
Yeah. Okay. The first thing I would say is you need to really define what type of lifestyle that you want to live. You need to figure out exactly, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? What do I actually want? Right? That's the first thing. Like, really, literally, if you can put together a vision board or a mood board, or write it out, a letter to your future self and all the things that you've accomplished, what type of life, quality of life, what type of experience do you want to have while you're here? That's the first thing. I would say the second thing is learn how to program your subconscious mind. Like, your subconscious is the reason why your reality is what it is. Your subconscious mind is a direct reflection of your reality. So if you stop allowing everybody else to program it, because at every moment in life, you're absorbing information in your subconscious mind. And then there's also information that you were taught as you were a kid, things that you observed. So once you start to pinpoint your habits and pinpoint the things that you consume, and start to say, you know what, before I go to bed every night, I'm going to put myself in a good state, like name 5 wins from that day. And then say, while I rest, I would like my subconscious mind to X, Y, and Z. Every single night, or every night that you can remember to do it, do that, because now you're actively creating that life that you said you wanted, right? That's number 2. And number 3, I would say rebuild your habits. Like, start one thing at a time. One habit at a time. Like I said, your reality is a reflection of your subconscious mind, but it's also a reflection of your habits, your daily habits. What are you doing every single day? And so start with one thing. If you know that you want to be a fashion designer, every single day you need to be doing a sketch, right? And then if you fuck up, if you can't do it for 7 days, start back at day 1. And if you do it for 21 days, grab a new habit and start doing that on top of it. Like, start stacking new habits so that you can create the life that you want. That's and I'm in the process of stacking my habits, and it's been working for me. My skin clearing up. I'm happier. Like, and I'm still, I still fuck up sometimes, but I know, like, I'm doing this for a reason, because I know who I want to be. I know the life I want to live. So those are 3 things. Those are really tangible things you can do, honestly.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it's so crazy. Like I'm over here smiling because I think a lot of people don't realize, and why I love having these conversations is that it across religions, across belief systems, mental health, therapy, like we all say the same thing just in different words. Like
Yeah.
what really helped me tap into spirituality was the stuff that I was learning as a therapist in the classroom was the same stuff that I was reading in these spiritual literatures and this research that I was doing with spirituality. I'm looking like, okay, and growing up in the church, I'm like, okay, this is very similar as well to a certain degree to like religious practices and stuff. So it's like the more, when you continue to hear like the things that you said, when you continue to hear these things be repeated in different tongues, but the same concept, it's
Yeah.
like how can I ignore that? Being aware of like the life that you want to live. Like you can't get nothing you don't even know what you want, and being able to train your subconscious and be in control of those lingering thoughts and those ideologies and those values that some people might say shadow work, some people might say subconscious, they might do, all of these different names for, the same thing. So I definitely feel like those is really good, really tangible. So y'all don't have no excuses, y'all.
No.
She laid it on y'all. She done put us up on so much game, and now you officially a part of the Blackwell family. So of course we gotta show love to you. So before we go, the last question is, how can we support you? How can we stay locked in with what you doing, staying up to date, and tapping in with what you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, you can always follow me on Instagram at Diosa Haven. I also have a website. It's diosahaven.com. Pretty easy to remember. You can subscribe to my mailing list. You could DM me at any time. Like I'm very open. I always talk to people. So don't let people follower account make you feel like they're not approachable. Like you could talk to me. Like it might take me a couple days to reply to you, but I'm gonna reply to you and I'm gonna always show you love. So definitely hit me up on any platform, really.
All right. Well, thank you so much for popping up in the Blackwell Box. And of course, since we shouting people out, make sure you following the Blackwell Box on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Make sure you streaming the audio playback wherever you get your audio podcast at. Make sure y'all, I keep saying this, make sure y'all run up to Twitter. Like y'all is not running up to Twitter like y'all need to run up to Twitter. Okay. So go ahead. Everybody on the gram, I need y'all to run up to Twitter as well. Okay. Because we stream the live episodes there every Wellness Wednesday, and we will be back next Wellness Wednesday talking about another minority mental health topic. And in the meantime, in between time, thank you so much for coming. Everybody, thank you so much for listening and for watching. And make sure you stay black, stay blessed, stay beautiful, and most importantly, make sure you stay well, y'all. Peace out.